Hey, these are my sisters.
How did the hustling idea really originate? How much money did the hustlers actually make? And did they actually drug their high-rolling victims to rob them blind? Why didn't the men they robbed try to pursue legal action against them? If you were left with your jaw on the floor after watching Hustlers, you're not alone. Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu's unforgettable performances sparked endless questions about just how much of the story was truly based on reality. Well, today we'll unearth all the juicy details behind how this real-life con job played out, starting with the mastermind herself, the real-life Ramona, Samantha Barbash. So, was Samantha Barbash really a stripper? No, we can start by clearing up this misconception. The real Samantha Barbash, portrayed by Jennifer Lopez as Ramona in the movie, claimed the following in an interview with the New York Post: "I was never a stripper." According to her, she was employed as a hostess at the famous Scores Gentlemen's Club in Manhattan. However, the New York Magazine article that inspired the Hustlers movie tells a different story. It alleges that Barbash started dancing at the age of 19 and had over a decade of experience as a stripper, meeting her partner in crime, Rosalind Keough, known as Destiny in the movie, at Larry Flynt's Hustler Club where they both worked. So, was she a stripper or not? We may never know the full truth, but one thing is clear: Barbash was not happy about being depicted as a stripper in the movie. How did the hustling idea really originate? In the true story, Samantha Barbash was indeed the mastermind behind a clever scheme she called marketing. It was actually a way to attract and deceive the club's richest customers. The movie accurately portrays this strategy as it happened in real life. How much money did they really make? The two ringleaders, Samantha Barbash and Rosalind Keough, could make up to a staggering $100,000 per night from their hustling scheme. Just let that number sink in for a moment. $100,000 in a single night. That's more than what many hardworking people make in several years. Of course, that extreme amount was probably only on their best nights, but still, it really puts into perspective the lucrative criminal enterprise they were running. Did the women run their operation like an actual business? Surprisingly, yes. The Hustler's true story confirms that Samantha Barbash and Rosalind Keough were running a tight, organized ship with their game. They were extremely meticulous and businesslike in their approach. Barbash handled all the marketing and recruitment efforts, while Keough was essentially the office manager, keeping detailed books on clientele, schedules, receipts, and charge records. They even had heated debates sometimes about whether certain women should be brought into the fold, just like it happens in the movie. These women took professional hustling to a whole new level, with their structure and processes. Why were so many of their targets wealthy Wall Street guys? This is a fascinating bit of reasoning from Rosalind Keough herself. In her own words, the reason why Wall Street guys party so hard is because they're not happy with their jobs. You make money, but you're not happy. So you go out and splurge on strip clubs and drinking and drugs, then the money depletes and you have to make it again. She literally explains that the strippers exploit the same vicious cycle. Make money, get depressed, spend lavishly until you're broke, then rinse and repeat. It's like an endless loop of chasing happiness through material highs and indulgent spending. Did they really drug their billionaire clients? Yes, unfortunately, this part of the Hustler's story is true. The women admitted to spiking their clients' drinks with a mixture of MDMA and ketamine once they got them back to the club. As Rosalind Keough casually put it was just a sprinkle, like a pinch of salt. She downplayed it further by saying, "It sounds so bad to say that we were like drugging people, but it was like normal." Did the real Destiny and Ramona actually call themselves Kobe and Shaq? Yes, they did. Rosalind Keough revealed that she and Samantha Barbash nicknamed themselves Kobe and Shaq, just like Destiny and Ramona do in the movie. Did any of the actresses in the movie have prior experience with stripping? Yes, two of the actresses had actual stripping experience that surely helped inform their performances. The most notable was Cardi B, the famous rapper who portrayed the character Diamond. Before her meteoric music rise, Cardi worked as a stripper starting at age 19 to escape poverty and pay for school. She sparked some controversy in 2019 when an old video resurfaced of her admitting to drugging and robbing men back in her stripper days. Actions eerily mirroring her character's role in the Hustlers movie. So you could say Cardi was essentially drawing from some real-life hustling experience for her part. The other former stripper was Trace Lysette, who played Tracy. She had spent over 8 years stripping at clubs like the real-life Scores, where much of the Hustler's story took place. Do the real Hustlers have any remorse? Not one bit, at least according to their own words. In fact, the women felt completely justified in their actions of drugging and stealing from wealthy men. Their mentality was that these were rich, entitled scumbags who had no respect for women. So in their twisted logic, maxing out the credit cards of the rudest offenders was payback. As Rosalind Keough put it, there's something extra satisfying about persuading a man who thinks you're trash to spend his time and money on you. Was Samantha really arrested in front of an ATM? Yes, on June 9, 2014, the real-life Ramona was cornered by police while using an ATM in her own neighborhood. Shortly after, the other key players in the hustling scheme were also apprehended one by one. Karina, then Marcy, and finally Rosalind Keough. When questioned by authorities about who was the real ringleader, Samantha and Rosalind didn't hesitate to throw each other under the bus, according to reports. So much for their bond as Kobe and Shaq holding strong in the face of justice. Did they hire prostitutes from outside to use in their scheme? Yes, they did. You see, while the strippers were more than willing to drain their wealthy conquest bank accounts, there was one boundary they weren't willing to cross themselves. When the drugged-up businessmen inevitably started craving sexual satisfaction over strippers grinding on them, Samantha made it clear none of the inner crew would be providing actual prostitution services. As she put it to the New York Magazine reporter, "I have my dignity." So what did they do? Well, outsource prostitutes, of course. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. One big question that must be on all your minds is, why didn't the men they tricked try to pursue legal action against them? This is one of the most fascinating aspects of the whole Hustlers saga. On the surface, you'd expect these wealthy, high-powered men to pursue legal action after being so openly violated. But the truth is, the very nature of the hustle protected the criminal perpetrators. You see, by lacing their targets' drinks with potent cocktails of ecstasy and ketamine, the women ensured most of their billionaire victims simply blacked out and forgot the events entirely. And to actually file charges and get law enforcement involved meant having to go on record admitting to attending a strip club, doing drugs. The humiliation of that truth to their wives, employers, and society was simply too much for their egos and reputations to bear. As ringleader Rosalind Keough stated, the men would just let it go rather than endure the turmoil of publicizing their misbehavior. So what really happened in the end? How did the hustle finally come crashing down? Like in most Ponzi schemes, they inevitably became a victim of their own greed and sloppiness. According to Rosalind Keough, they got reckless and started hustling random strangers after exhausting their original list of wealthy guys. One of those unlucky randoms, a New Jersey cardiologist named Ziad Yunan, reported being drugged and robbed by the crew to the NYPD. He had recorded a phone call with one of Samantha's former strippers confessing to the scheme of drugging and fleecing men. From there, it was simply a matter of squeezing that weak link until the whole hustling ring unraveled. What consequences did the hustlers face for drugging men and stealing their money? Not as harsh as you might expect, likely owing to the victims' hesitancy to testify about their behavior. The four main hustlers were charged with crimes like grand larceny, assault, conspiracy, and forgery. But in the end, ringleaders Samantha Barbash and Rosalind Keough got off with just probation. No jail time at all, despite orchestrating and profiting most from the whole scheme. Barbash received 5 years probation after pleading guilty. Keough took a plea deal and wasn't punished at all, something Barbash was reportedly upset about. The other two, Karina Pascucci and Marcy Rosen, received slightly harsher punishments. Weekends in jail for 4 months, along with 5 years probation after pleading guilty. Overall, the hustlers got extremely light sentences, considering the scale and brazenly illegal nature of their criminal operation. Was Samantha Barbash furious about the movie? Absolutely, she was downright livid. In April 2019, Barbash told the New York Post she planned to sue both Jennifer Lopez and the film's production company for defamation of character. Her main point was that they never obtained permission to use her life story and depict her as a stripper. In her eyes, the movie's fictionalized portrayal completely misrepresented who she really was. A savvy businesswoman, not some stripper hustler. Barbash complained, if she wants to play me, then she should have gotten the real story. You can understand her outrage to some degree. Having your life story sold for profit without consent is a valid grievance. What are your thoughts on the movie? Was it an accurate representation or Hollywood being Hollywood? Let us know in the comments below. Hopefully none of you even walk by a strip club after watching this video.
Put your hands up. Don't move.